was firstly you ended up having a couple of conversations with Brian Clough and Sir Alex Ferguson, a couple of conversations around negotiating for those clubs in the audio, but you do a couple of fantastic impressions. Do you want to tell us a little bit about, would you have signed for those clubs? What would have happened? Were you interested? What came about in that regard?
Brian Clough, yeah. I mean, Brian Clough that was the week I was getting married. I don't want to keep mentioning marriage.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for bringing it home.
At the end of this week, just imagine, set the scene really. I'm talking to Manchester United, to Nottingham Forest, to Derby County, every other club that wanted me, all the big clubs, Everton. And at the end of it, I'm getting married. So I went to see Brian Clough at the beginning of that week, and he was the most charismatic man that I've ever met in my life. And it ends with me meeting Sir Alex Ferguson. And if you think about these two men, were huge figures in the world of football, weren't they? In terms of what they achieved. Brian Clough was Nottingham Forest, came up from the second division to win 2 Champions Leagues. Incredible, okay, Sir Alex Ferguson did exactly the same. And I'm meeting them in a week of football in my own journey. But, Clough was so far ahead. But I think he was coming to the end. I always felt that some of the meeting was being had out of a whiskey glass. And I thought, well, okay, no, I think maybe they might have gone past their best. So I don't think it's the Clough years. So I didn't go with that. I sat down with Sir Alex Ferguson. And the wages they were offering were half what was being offered with Everton. And I said to him, it's not about the money. Tell me now. And I was expecting him to say, no, we'll rip this up after a year. And he told me I need to think about my family. So I never had any regrets.
Oh, really? Okay.
Even though they went on to have, 13, league titles under their belt. I'd like to think I stopped them winning 3 of them rather than what I didn't get.
Yeah.
So there's never any regrets for me in those decisions. But it was an extraordinary week of sort of a who's who of football. And Cloughie was just incredible.
And culminating the best day of your life.
Culminating the best day of my life.
Welcome for that.
And it really was. It turned out to be the best decision I ever made.
Just a note from our good friends at NordVPN, who are back and offering the good, the bad, and the rugby listeners an exclusive deal. Now, did you know if you're enjoying a holiday abroad or outside the UK or on a business trip, you can switch your virtual location to back home so you can access your streaming services? Mike, do you want to explain to Martin a little bit about how VPN works?
I did do that, actually. I did that in Qatar. Yeah.
So you know what you do.
So for example, when you're out in Qatar and you can't watch your favourite shows from back home, if you have a VPN from our NordVPN, you can then change your location to back home and you can watch your things. But it can also protect your security online
Banking.
by not so people not being able to intercept, and it puts a privacy level on so people can't intercept your connection.
Can't track you.
You stay safe and you can't be tracked. And if because you travel a lot, you might notice sometimes you'll check a price, and then when you go look somewhere else and you go back and the price has gone up because it still registers your interest and it knows where you are through a VPN.
You can also do it on your mobile phone as well. Which
useful information.
Very useful. I mean, it protects your data while you're traveling, and obviously when you use public Wi-Fi, concerns about hacking your data. But listen, if you want to get a discount, head over to nordvpn.com/good-bad-and-rugby. I'll give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box.
We're still together now. Nicola's
until this podcast comes out.
The only day she balked a little bit was with my behaviour at Old Trafford. She said to me when I rang home, "I think you've gone and done it now."
What for this part?
With this, yes. Because I rang home and said, "How does it look?" And she said, "It's not looking great."
Well, I'm interested just by that. Like, obviously, you got to have a strong partner throughout that. And you guys obviously sound like childhood sweethearts and being the rest of it. Was she a good sounding board for you? Did you have that relationship, or did you want to stay away from football and not comment? Because I think some people, my marriage to Chloe is over, but kind of in terms of her as a supportive partner, she actually learned about rugby to give me an objective opinion without being so browbeaty. I had a couple of teammates who wanted to slap him around the head. I saw one at a coach got a pint thrown in his face, and they would take it really personally. Whereas I think sometimes you want an escape or you want support.
I once was out with Jamie Vardy once. His missus was clearly, he's not doing that. He's not doing that. He's going to go there. He's holding on to a contract. I was like, okay.
Oh, really? She was the boss. But and what was your dynamic with that?
Nicola knew me long before I was a footballer.
Oh, fine.
She could drive before I could drive. Do you know, there was none of this. She loved me for what I am.
Fine.
Yeah. The person I am rather than what I became.
Fine.
So there was never any doubt. I remember we got relegated at Villa And I came home to tell her, trying to tell her the news. And she's telling me they wouldn't take a bus fare off her to get on the bus. She had to walk all the way home. She was trying to give them change and they wouldn't, had to have the exact money. And I'm trying to, I said, darling, don't worry. Well, what happened in your day? Well, we just got relegated, So it was kind of like, she didn't really get too involved in football.
Fine, okay.
I was arguing with everybody all day long. When I came home, I didn't want arguments.
Yeah.
I just wanted calm.
Did you ever think about not arguing with everyone?
And that was lovely for me that I came home. She understood. She didn't pretend to be an expert. She never became an expert. She was just really supportive.
How does it? Because obviously a lot of stories you've told already are fascinating, but in regards to you're very principled. You talked about it at the top, and obviously you have an opinion. How does that wash at home? Because it's all well and good in contract negotiations and everything else, but I wonder sometimes having principles and attention to detail, sometimes in a marriage, particularly with women, doesn't often work like that. It's quite. Do you have to put them on hold? Are you a different animal in that area?
I'm probably selfish. I have to be the same. Like for instance, in terms of how we are, I don't really like alcohol too much.
Right. Okay.
So. She's now not taking any alcohol. Well, for a long period, she didn't. I certainly didn't. So it's like I don't have to worry about her. She always seems to handle herself perfectly. It's never an issue for me. So I'm very lucky, very blessed, as I say in the book. And I made that decision to marry Nicola very young, and I knew I could make good decisions. And I thought,
well, evidently not, because Everton did better.
Well, but in personal relationships, I thought, okay, that's the first one. That's probably the most important one. I got that right.
I know that one. Yeah.
I'll get back on track soon. And I got back on track with Arsenal.
How did going from that? How did that work? Going back into that group with the group of players that you had, who everyone heard about the Sunday Club, and Tony Adams lives up near me in Cirencester now, and he's a member at my local golf club, and obviously he's gone through what he's gone through, and he's off. He doesn't drink now, but I've been in the company of Ray Parlour quite a few times, and they talk about their Sunday Club, and there's
Tuesday afternoons, all day long they just go missing. So they knew me before. They knew that I wasn't one of those, and they knew that that really happened while I was away. When I came back, I'm coming back to just two youth team members, probably Paul Mercer and Tony Adams, and they're different. They're really different. They're on a pedestal. They're known throughout Europe. They've won many things. And I didn't necessarily like what I saw in terms of the changes. Tony said to me, do you know what, man? I didn't give a shit whether you came back or not, because I was in my worst period probably of alcohol at that point. Paul Mercer, something similar. But I could cut them in half with what I knew in a way. And I think they were weary of me, and I tried to find a way back in. I didn't talk so much in the book about the mafia that exists, because you get on a bus and everyone's got their seats, and you've got to try and find your way onto the bus. And I very much went middle of the bus, and I thought, okay, we'll laugh.
The safe zone.
We'll laugh here. Like we used to. Someone was saying, if I heard another table laugh, I'd say, "Come on, lads, let's take that on. We can laugh louder than that." That's how competitive it was. But I understood the power that existed. I got the captaincy, and then it was taken away from me.
Why was it taken away from you?
Well, before Wenger came, Bruce Rioch came in. I was Arsenal Player of the Year, '96. Didn't make it to the Euros team. Should have done, in my opinion. And then it was like I was gaining some. It's about power in a way in the dressing room. And then Wenger came in and said, like, the staff are telling me that you're not going to be the captain after Tony when he's, someone else will do that. And okay, it's taken me 2 years to build this up, and you're just going to pull that away. And he said, no, you're going to play. That's the most important thing. That's the biggest platform you need, is to play. So I'll be grateful for that. But within the group, the famous back four, and their unity was the strength of that four, which I really respected.
Yeah.
These were good guys, really, essentially, but they didn't want to invite anybody in. It was never going to be easy to be the person that broke that down. And we had those discussions since the back four did a photograph, that season, where I was very clearly one of the mainstays in that defence. So you're kind of airbrushed out of history a little bit. But this was a chance to sort of, to change that and say, well, no, hold on. Those 450 games I played for Arsenal, I did it somewhere.
Yeah.
Don't try and tell me I was on the edge of it.